Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Straight Corner about a year ago. The post is titled, "My wife refuses to accept our divorce and I think she's trying to trick me. My wife and I have been married for 4 years and up until a year and a half ago, things were fantastic. Our marriage began to deteriorate after there was a significant drop in sex between us. Not intimacy, just the actual sex part of the relationship. We would still cuddle and have deep, intimate moments talking and just being around each other, but she kept rejecting my attempts at taking things further than kissing. Now, we have had no problem communicating, so I made sure to address it early and we talked and made adjustments. We both made sure to stay in shape. We tried being more adventurous. We went to couples therapy and counseling and even tested both of our hormone levels. Each solution would work for a little while and then we'd be back to having sex maybe once a month. I asked her several times if she was no longer attracted to me, to which she denied every time. I asked her if I was falling short in the relationship in any other way, to which she said no. Well, about a month ago, she gets back from her therapy session and tells me that she believes that she's asexual and that's the reason for her libido being non-existent as of late. I was definitely confused because we had such great sex for a while at the beginning of our relationship, but her telling me that she's now asexual was heartbreaking because everything else is great. Obviously, I'm not going to force her to have sex, so we had a long conversation about our relationship, and I came to the conclusion that we should get a divorce. I say I because she immediately rejected the idea and said we would figure something out and wouldn't talk to me about it anymore. I didn't know what to say, so I dropped it. Well, 3 weeks go by without sex, and I decided that I have to do this for my own mental well-being, so I filed for a divorce and had her served with the papers. Last week, when I got home from work, she was going about the day like nothing was wrong. I asked her if she signed the papers, and she flat out said, "We are not getting a divorce," and changed the subject and acted like things were normal. Obviously, I thought this was crazy, so I stopped her and said I couldn't be in a marriage devoid of sex, and I mentioned that I was being incredibly fair with our divorce. She can keep the house that we bought and paid for with cash. I'd take all of the debt, which isn't much. We'd split our savings and investments in half, and she can keep 2 of our 3 paid-off cars. Thankfully, we don't have kids. I love her and wanted her to be comfortable, and I have no problem starting over since I make a good income. But she won't budge or talk about the divorce. This brings us to 2 days ago. I get home and go to our bedroom and find my wife's friend in our bed naked. I immediately shut the door, said sorry, and went looking for my wife. I found her in the kitchen and asked what her friend was doing here, and she said that she was here for me. I put 2 and 2 together and said that I'm not having sex with other women in place of the woman I chose to marry. She was adamant about saying that I could sleep with her whenever I wanted and that her friend agreed to it. I couldn't believe things would get this far, so I went back to our bedroom and asked her friend to leave. I packed a bag and I've been staying in a hotel nearby since that night. My wife, her mother, and her sister keep calling me, but I'm just not interested in hearing what they have to say. This feels like a trick. I just want this whole thing to be over. Does anyone have advice? Is this some kind of ploy for alimony? Should I just contact my lawyer and try and force the divorce? I'm really uncomfortable with this entire situation. Update: I'll try to keep this as concise as possible. I feel overwhelmed, so I probably won't bother with another update after this one. I don't know. My wife came to my hotel last night and we talked about everything. She told me the full truth and what's going on in her mind. A few of you commented this in the last post, so you were right. She has always been asexual. She and her whole family have known this since she was 16. Apparently, this is the reason why her last long-term relationship of 3 years ended. He broke up with her after the sex between them diminished to being non-existent after the first year. She told me that sex is easier for her in the beginning when emotions are running high, but she still needs to force herself to have it. I knew they broke up due to irresolvable differences, but I didn't ask for details, nor did she tell me. After a lot of apologies and crying, she told me that I was the first person she was able to tolerate sex with for so long, and that she did enjoy it a handful of times, but after a while, she still felt like she was being raped. I broke down after hearing this and started kicking myself for not catching on to any of this. She said she tried her best to please me as much as she could. She still doesn't want a divorce, and she doesn't want the house, cars, or the savings. She just wants me and is ready to do whatever it takes to keep me. She even said that she would sign a post-nup stating this. As for her friend, she was there during her last breakup and helped to support her through it. My wife went to her after I brought up divorce and talked things out. Her friend suggested that she open the relationship for me, but she said she didn't want me sleeping with strange women, so her friend volunteered herself to be the one that sleeps with me. My wife thought this was a great idea, which led to the fiasco at our house. I won't comment on her appearance because it doesn't matter, and I don't blame the friend. My lawyer got back to me. You were all right. I don't need her permission, but I will have to wait if I want to push it through. I asked her why she lied to me this entire time, and she said she was tired of being rejected after revealing she was asexual, so she convinced herself that she would be able to force herself to have sex during the relationship. The hormone testing, the sessions in couples therapy, and all of our solutions were just her buying time to find another way around sex or give herself enough time to build up the strength to start regularly having sex with me again. Our conversation ended with us holding each other in bed, crying for a couple of hours. No, we didn't have sex. She pleaded with me to hold off on the divorce to look for a solution together and left my hotel room. I'm now sitting alone typing this post. I guess I found out that we don't share everything with each other. Thank you to everyone who has messaged me directly. I'm still trying to get to all of them. I don't know what I'm going to do. User Excellent Client said, just because she doesn't sign doesn't mean the divorce can't go through. I'd call your lawyer and see what needs to happen to force the divorce. She's only trying to avoid the divorce so she isn't alone and has to do everything on her own and support herself. She's definitely trying to delay the divorce by manipulating you. User Adventurous Basis said, I don't know that it is necessarily a trick regarding alimony so much as her trying to keep you married. I would absolutely not do it though, especially with a friend of hers. That is crazy. If you are okay with opening the relationship, that is a completely different conversation. But for her to spring, this is insane. If you do open it, I would definitely talk to the lawyer to make sure you don't get screwed on the prenup. If you don't want to open the relationship and want it all with one person, absolutely go to your lawyer and push the divorce. She can't just decide you aren't getting divorced. It will take longer, but it will definitely happen. Sorry this is happening to you. To this, OP said, I suppose I'm just shocked at her behavior. She isn't acting like the woman I married. At times, it felt like she was more sexually charged than I was. I can't sleep with someone I don't have strong emotions for, and she understands that. Or at least I thought she did. I'm sorry this is happening to me too. Thank you for your words. User Left Philosopher said, force the divorce. If necessary, be prepared to move to a state that doesn't require the consent of the other spouse, if the one you currently live in is not this way. Also, don't play nice, protect yourself and your interests. Under this comment, OP said, my state does require a spouse's consent. I'm afraid that if this goes to a judge, then our prenup will be thrown out if she contests the divorce. I make significantly more than her. Update 2. After my last update, my wife asked me to meet with her about a week later to discuss things with her. I've been staying at an extended stay since that night with her friend. We met at our house and talked for a few hours. She started off with a ton of apologies for how she acted, her lying about her sexuality, and not taking my sexual needs more seriously. Before I could say anything, she presented a signed post-nup agreement she had drafted with a lawyer stating that she doesn't want anything. The house, the cars, savings, everything. I felt like the biggest asshole for thinking that she was tricking me for more money. I asked her if she was serious, and she told me to take the post-nup with me and sign it when I'm ready. I told her that I still think divorce is our best course of action and that we both deserve to find someone who matches our needs. She still refused and borderline begged me to reconsider. She started crying and so did I. Seeing her like this was devastating. I told her that her finding other women to sleep with me wasn't going to work. What if I develop feelings for them? What if I get one of them pregnant? Do we expect her to get an abortion? She said we'll figure it out as we go along, and to please give her more time to work on other solutions. She set up appointments for sex and hormone therapy and is seeing a sex guru. I said that it sounds like we're going through the same things again, but she was adamant and pleaded with me to wait. There were more apologies on both sides, and we kissed for a while before ending the conversation. Then I went back to my hotel that night. A few days later, I tried texting her, but she didn't respond, so I called her dad. Her dad told me that she moved back home and has been holed up in her room since our talk. She called out of work. He told me that she's barely eating, bathing, or talking to him or her mom. He asked me what I was going to do, but I didn't have an answer for him. He just said he understands and said he would be here to talk anytime I wanted to. So I went back to our house and a good portion of her stuff was gone. The whole place feels empty. I've been sleeping in one of the spare rooms. I'm planning on flying to my mother's house in a couple weeks to spend time with my family to decompress from this entire situation. I'm still on the divorce side of the fence, but I guess there's no rush. Thank you to everyone for your insight and concern. Seriously. I know we're all strangers, but most of you have been a huge help to my mental health. Seriously, thank you. Also, my cousin uses Reddit and reached out after he found my last post and asked me to shout him out if I made an update. Love you, Virgil. Final update. Hey everyone, in hindsight, I regret making these posts because I think I received too many pieces of advice. I keep thinking I should have just handled it internally with just family. I don't regret my decisions, I just wish I gave myself more time to think. Anyway, here's the update. I'll keep it short. The divorce was finalized months ago, our house was sold along with one of the cars, and my ex-wife is still living with her parents. I had a little more than 2/3 of the proceeds wired to her account, but the last time I talked to her dad, she hasn't touched a dime. I was informed that she checked into a mental health clinic, but I don't know how long she was there or what her current state is. I changed my number, but her dad has emailed me a few times to check on me throughout this last year, which breaks my heart because he's a great man. Him playing both sides of the fence like this really made everything go a lot smoother. Other than not warning me, he's been a huge help. I moved back to my home state to be closer to my family. I may leave to go to another state again. I don't know, I'm not sure yet. I feel numb from this whole thing. Not much of a drinker, so I've been smoking a ton of pot and working out to occupy my mind. To everyone who didn't get a response from me in my messages, I'm sorry, but there were just too many. I responded to as many as I could mentally handle. I think that's it. I can't imagine that there would be any additional questions, but I'll answer whatever I can. This next post was made in the AITA subreddit by a user named Wise Kangaroo. The post is titled AITA for not inviting my brother and Sil over because of what happened at the last family gathering. At our last big family gathering, there was an argument between myself and my brother's wife. I was in charge of making up leftover plates for anyone to take home if they wanted. I gave John, my brother, and Lucy, his wife, 3 plates of food, including the leftovers of the dishes they brought with them. I gave them to John to put in his cooler in his car before they left. The next day, I got a call from Lucy asking if I gave my brother the food, which I said I did. She told me there was only 1 plate that was half empty instead of the 3 plates and 2 Tupperware boxes I had actually given my brother. I was confused and said John took them off the counter, so ask him. Well, John told Lucy I had refused to give them the extra food and kept it for myself. Lucy was not pleased by this and told everyone in our family that I had stolen their food. I maintained my innocence the entire time because this isn't what happened. If that was all it was, I wouldn't have minded, but Lucy took it way too personally. She began to insult my body and weight, saying I didn't need burgers and should have stolen the salad instead, and said she doesn't blame me for stealing because I'm so poor and work a dead-end job. Lucy's animosity didn't stop for over a year, and she would always bring it up any chance she got. I'm the one hosting this year, and I have not invited John or Lucy. When they asked why they didn't receive an invitation, I said, "Are you kidding?" and hung up. Not the most mature, but I was so shocked at their audacity to ask. My brother texted me to suggest a sit down between myself and Lucy, but I didn't get the point of that since she will always think of me as a villain in this ridiculous story. It was then that my brother confessed that he ate all the missing food in the car and felt so embarrassed by it that he lied to Lucy about me refusing to give them the food. I was in awe. I knew he had lied, but not the details or why he lied. I told him he's a huge asshole here and he needs to come clean to Lucy now. I guess he did because Lucy then called me, apologizing profusely. She said she had no reason to doubt my brother and she was already feeling left out and an outsider, so she lashed out. I thanked her for her apology, but said I didn't forgive her. She said so many awful things to me over 2 missing plates of food. I said they still weren't invited to the gathering and that they are welcome to host their own. This made my brother really mad. A few hours later, I got some text from our mom telling me to just get over it and invite Lucy and John. I just put my foot down and said if they show up, they won't be let in my home. The whole situation has caused a rift in the family. Half are telling me I can't not include my brother, and the other half are saying Lucy is a bitch for her comments. Lucy and John are still very mad. Am I the asshole? User Super Selection said, not the asshole, but I'm confused why you didn't confront your brother much sooner. He is the worst asshole here. He caused it, watched the rift develop, and did nothing for a year. He has zero right to be angry with you. He owes the groveling apology, not just his wife. Equally, Sil has zero right to be angry with you. She should direct her anger where it belongs, at her husband. Stop discussing with the rest of your family. It's none of their business. They can come to the event or not, but the discussion is closed. To this, OP said, I've tried, but I'm so much younger than him. I'm 21 and he's 34, and still learning to assert myself. I'm planning on talking to him soon and being completely honest and laying all my feelings out. User friend Lily said, not the asshole. If Lucy had only been mad at you and commenting on the missing food, that's one thing. But she was cruel and insulted you personally, which is unacceptable. It's nice that she apologized about the food, but what about all the abhorrent things she said about you? Her feeling left out and lied to never excuses how she treated you. Your brother is a major AH for not only lying to you and his wife, but letting her continue to treat you that way for months. The only reason he finally confessed is because there was a consequence to him personally. He doesn't give a crap about you, and your mom is a piece of work too. She wants you to get over it. How much did she defend you and lay into her son and his wife over the last year for treating you this way? I'm guessing not at all. Also, instead of making up leftover plates, I would just offer that anyone who brought over a dish can take those leftovers. They don't need everything you're providing, especially since your family is so quick to turn on you over something so trivial. User Ditto Head Forever said, you're not the asshole. A 3-second apology does not wipe out a year's worth of nasty, personal, and petty insults over something so pathetically trivial. I am curious to know what he did with the Tupperware containers. If he tossed them to help hide his lies, that makes it even worse. Disposing of perfectly good Tupperware should be criminal. This third story was made in the relationship advice subreddit by a throwaway account about 5 years ago. The post is titled, My Roommate Won't Stop Wearing My Dirty Hoodies and It's Getting Weird. Just a disclaimer, this post isn't anywhere near as serious as some of the posts on here. As stupid as the situation sounds, advice would be appreciated. I'm a pretty organized person, but I tend to leave my hoodies in the living room. I don't mind my roommate wearing my hoodies if it's convenient. If it's cold, or she has to run out to turn on the car, or just lying around the house. However, at this point, it's a little weird. I have 2 piles, some for the gym and others for going out. However, my roommate will only wear the hoodies covered in my sweat. She'll occasionally do my laundry and will wash everything except the hoodies I use for the gym and will keep some for days at a time, and eventually gives them back. I struggle to see how being covered in my sweat could benefit her. Aside from saying, hey dude, stop wearing my hoodies, how can I make it not awkward? I don't want to make a big deal out of nothing. I know this is stupid. Edit, I get that I'm clueless, but don't turn this into some weird fantasy. Update. I didn't expect to update so fast, but I got an answer sooner than I expected. I want to clear some things up first. Given the way I worded my post, a lot of you assume I don't do my own laundry and just leave my clothes lying around the house like a slob. The hoodies are on a coat rack in the living room. However, I'll occasionally leave one on the couch. The 2 piles are separated in the laundry basket, LOL. She'll do the laundry when I'm not home. So if I had to summarize my last post, pheromones. I talked to my roommate and asked if she knew the difference between the 2 piles. She did. She said she liked my scent because it was comforting and it relaxed her throughout the day. I didn't push her for further answers. I didn't ask if she had any sexual attraction or other feelings for me. And no, I won't be sleeping with her. It's easy to say, you like how I smell, let's but I don't want to ruin our living situation. We rent a decent-sized house for a fairly low rent in a decent area. The location is close to my job. There are also other financial benefits that come with living in my area. I don't want to risk that if things somehow go sour between us. Plus, I just got out of a casual relationship not long ago, and getting into another one is not something I want. So yeah, she acknowledged it might come off as strange. The solution is that I'll let her keep one of my hoodies. User Terraform said, she's trying to middle school girl steal your hat her way into a relationship. User MC Captain said, it's probably pheromones. Scent is usually a big thing in some relationships. My so recently had a birthday, so I bought a really nice hoodie and wore it for a few hours each day for a week. Afterward, I let her steal it and said, happy birthday, it's yours now. She refuses to wash it because it won't smell like me anymore. My guess is she's into you. You just don't realize it yet. This final post was made in the same subreddit also about 5 years ago by a throwaway. The post is titled, "My boyfriend staunchly believes we did an art class together a long time ago. We never did, and it's tearing our relationship apart as he thinks I'm lying. This is kind of weird, but I am at the end of my rope with this. Me and my SO, Tom, recently started dating again. Currently, we have been together for 6 months now. We were a couple 3 years ago during university. We were close back then, but I ended up getting an amazing job offer from a big tech company and was required to relocate to SV. Tom, unfortunately, was being forced to look after his 2 younger siblings after his mother passed away. We ended up separating when we realized it wasn't going to work. Last year, I moved back home after I went through a painful failed engagement and a combination of burnout and my dad not being in good health. We ended up getting back in touch, and one thing led to another. At the start of this month, I moved in with Tom after his final younger brother moved out to go to university. Stuff was great and I was happy, and he seemed happy. Then something weird happened and I don't know what to make of it. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about redecorating and renovating. Tom offhandedly mentioned that he still had paintings we did together in art class. This really confused me. I have no memory of doing this art class, but he remembers it like it was yesterday. This led to kind of a weird argument where I denied this ever happening, but he would not drop it. Eventually, I just kind of pretended to vaguely remember just to get out of this. He didn't believe me, and he spent 4 hours digging through Facebook, his computer, and even dug out his old cell phone. He found nothing. He seemed hurt and confused, and I begged him to let's just forget about it. However, this started eating at me all of last week. My ex-fiancé would do this. He would lie and give different accounts of events or claim things happened that I didn't remember. However, they were always minor and meant to hurt. This was just weird. I ended up spending hours combing through my records and found nothing. He said we went and bought our supplies at a specific place. I have no bank records of that. I have no records of this ever happening, and I even asked a few people I used to be friends with who never remembered this. It bothered me a lot. On Wednesday, we went to Tom's storage unit to fetch some stuff, and it immediately turned into him hunting for the art. He swears he put it there. He even remembers him putting it in there so vividly. But there was nothing. There was some art, but from his family, and nothing matched what I apparently painted or what he painted. He even went on to vividly tell me how we would go and grab food before heading over to the college after a certain class we had together, but I don't remember this at all. I was annoyed, really annoyed. We had a big fight driving home where Tom complained that I just don't remember, and I was telling him I think he is wrong. It was awkward that night, and I broke down and told him he was wrong and this isn't going to work out if this continues. Today has been really awkward, and I feel this stupid little thing of no significance is going to rip this relationship apart. Tom seems dead set in his way, and I was honestly considering that this is a sign of mental illness, but this is the first time I have ever seen him act like this, and it bothers me so much. What am I supposed to do? I feel even if I just finally say, oh yes, I remember now, it is just going to lead to a huge argument. User Keybar8 said, thought I'd just share my experience. Once I had a dream where I bought a red and white polka dot bikini. I spent hours looking for it in my wardrobe. It was only hours later when I realized that it was a dream. Not saying that's what's happening here, but I could have sworn on my life I owned it. Have you clearly explained the reasons why this is so upsetting to you given your experience with your ex? If he can sit down and listen to how you were previously manipulated, his reaction will let you know if you should stay or go. User inconclusive. Hush said, I don't think he is lying. I think he is having a false memory and may be confusing you with someone else. Or even he had such a great time in that art class, his mind stuck you into the memory because he associates you with great experiences throughout his life. I think he is having a hard time letting it go because it is making him feel crazy and he is questioning his own sanity. At some point, we all remember things incorrectly, and it can be very disconcerting if there is something that goes against what we know to be true. User Causative said, him seeming hurt and confused about not being able to find what he claimed makes me believe he is not making it up like your ex. Your ex would not have looked for evidence they know isn't there or given any signal that something was wrong. He either had a vivid dream derived from the cooking classes, has a stubborn false memory, or is having a psychotic episode. Tell him you believe he believes it and ask him to accept that you have no memory of it, but that you both want to get to the bottom of it. Then you have the peace to actually dig this up together and get to the bottom of it. Track down that teacher and anything else he remembers and build the case together. Best wishes to you both. Update. Wanted to thank everyone for the advice and help. I did what people suggested and sat him down and explained why it was bothering me so much and how my ex used to gaslight me. He apologized and told me he must have been remembering things wrong, but it didn't matter at all because we found the answer to the mystery last night when we visited his sister and this topic came up. It turns out that his sister was the one who did the art class with him, and it wasn't actually at the local college but at a local craft store. She didn't have the paintings, but she was able to dig up a bunch of photos of her and Tom's stuff, including the painting that Tom remembered. This was a weird last 2 weeks, but I am glad this is over with. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersubs. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.